What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Contractor Secrets Podcast. We are starting a new series called the Startup Series, where I focus on the startup aspect of your business. So, in today's episode, we talk about 5 things. I think I did a little more than 5 that you need to get started. Those of you who are way ahead of the startup phase of your business, I've learned that by coaching so many people, it's actually wise for some of you to kind of pump the brakes, turn around and look at some areas that you kind of skipped over when you first got started, and kind of just look at them, and maybe work on them a little bit more to make your business, your growing business, even stronger. So don't think that the startup series isn't for you. We just cover a lot of fundamental principles about starting out, and really growing that foundation, which is so important. So super excited to get this started. And of course, this episode is brought to you by Drip Jobs, the automation CRM of the future for contractors, guys. I'm the founder of Drip Jobs. If I've given you any value in any episode, in any video, imagine the value that I'm going to bring to you with this software. I would love for you to try it out. There's a 14-day free trial at dripjobs.com. And what's awesome is we're so young and so new that I will probably personally onboard you and your team to use this software. So I'm really excited about that. So enjoy the episode, guys. Startup series starts right now.
The big question you need to ask yourself every day is, do I own a job or do I own a business? And unfortunately, the majority of contractors out there own a job. That's right, they're a slave to their own business. But the other side of the fence is so much greener, it's so much better, and that's when you're finally fully in control of your destiny, your freedom, your time. And that's what Contractor Secrets is about. It's about taking back our time, building a business with systems, standards, values, procedures, putting yourself in the driver's seat. And that's what it's about. So I'm excited. I'm happy to have you here. Let's dive into the Contractor Secrets podcast.
All right, what's up, guys? So I know there's a lot of us out there right now that are in sort of the startup phase of your business, and I want to kind of touch on that. I know sometimes in these podcast episodes, I'm really hitting some advanced topics, and I'm really grateful that you guys try to keep up and implement some of these things. But I want to go back real quick, and I want to talk to those that are just starting out their business, and I want to cover 5 things that really are pretty important to getting started. Some things that I wish I had known when I had first got started, and it probably would have saved me a lot of headache, heartache, time, confusion, worry, and everything else that we go through when we start a business. Because listen, starting a business is for the strongest of the strong. It is one of the hardest things you can do. It not only takes a toll on yourself, but it's a risk for your family. Those who reach out to me and say, "Hey, Tanner, I want to quit my job and start my business, but I have a family who, is counting on me, and, what do I do?" And I just admire the strength. I'd say that you're stronger than me, because when I started my business, I was a single guy, just out of college. So for me, having a family now, thinking about the security aspect of a 9 to 5 job that provides benefits for my family, and jumping into an unknown business, I mean, crazy. And you guys do it, and I'm inspired. So I just wanted to hit on a couple things that I think you might really like, to kind of help you get started. So we'll talk number one. The big topic that I hear a lot is employees and subcontractors, and which one you should pursue. And I know that you're going to find a course out there that says you can get subcontractors to do the work while you sit at your 9 to 5 and sell paint jobs on the weekends. And you find a subcontractor that'll do the work for 50% of whatever you sell the job for, and everything will be great. And you'll just sit there and collect money. And eventually you find another subcontractor and you just do the same thing. And it's great. And, I'm able to laugh at that, because I dealt with something similar when I first started my business. Is I kind of fell for that trap. I thought it was that simple, and it wasn't. And I actually followed the instructions. I went and sold a job, and I also found a quote unquote subcontractor who was just a guy, who was an independent contractor, and we pretty much came up with an agreement. And it was like, "Hey, man, I'll sell this job, and I'll pay you this much per day," which was way more than I would pay anyone now. simply because, I was just new and I didn't know anything, and he had the leverage. So I paid him that much per day, and we completed our first job, and I'm like, wow, this is cool, man. It worked. The system worked. And then as we got to the second job, he didn't show up one day, and I was like, hey man, where are you? He's like, hey man, yeah, I had to take care of something on another job, man. I'll get with you tomorrow. And I'm like, well, that's not cool, man. He's like, hey, listen, man, I know we have an agreement and all, but I run my own business on the side. So, you got to just kind of work with my schedule. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll just tell my customer. And my customer wasn't too happy about that. And I remember thinking, man, something's not right about this. I don't like not having control over the schedules of the people that I pay, because my customers aren't getting the best experience they can have. And so I continued working with that person, and then next thing you know, he's kind of offering his services on the side, and I'm thinking, man, this isn't right. So he had a helper with him, and I actually liked the person that he had brought with him as a helper. And I could tell that he really wasn't happy with working with the person that was kind of quote unquote in charge. So I said, hey man, listen, I'm kind of transitioning my company to more structure. I kind of wanted to start having employees, and I'm looking for somebody to lead a crew. And this guy was just a helper, but I was planning on taking on the majority of the painting responsibilities. Okay, and this is the advice I give a lot of people, is that if you start a business in the trades, my suggestion is, hey, you need to get your hands dirty. There's a lot of guys that come at me from a sales background or a marketing background, and like dude, like this isn't code, right? This isn't like, for me with software, I don't know how to code. It's not like I can just jump in there and just start coding things. But with the trades, there's nothing stopping you from being on the job and learning the trade. That's something that you could easily do. It's hands on. Not saying you're going to be an expert at it, but you can definitely be hands on and actually learn the process. So my suggestion is to get in the field with your team. And when I made that transition, like, the game changed for me. It was awesome. Like, I actually like learned everything. I remember, we had an exterior house to paint, and we had just gotten a brand new paint sprayer, and I didn't know how to prime the paint sprayer to get it to start spraying. So I'm in the front yard while the guy had brought on with me is kind of like prepping the outside of the house. And I didn't even know how to do this, and I'm watching I believe it was the Idaho painter teach me how to set up a paint sprayer. I'm so grateful for that. And just being willing to like learn and not be afraid to make mistakes is one of my keys to success. So employees versus subs, when I think about it, yeah, like we can talk about the legal stuff. Like, really, if you run a painting business and the person or people that you have working for you works for you like 90% of the time, like, come on, they're employees, and you're just categorizing them as subcontractors, it gets sticky. My suggestion is go the employee route. Build relationships with people, build the foundation. Really, when you go the subcontractor route, you're ultimately selling jobs for two businesses, and really that doesn't leave much room for profit, right? Because ultimately, a true subcontractor relationship, which in this case doesn't exist, but in the context of what major painting companies do, is they have pretty much an internal employee sales force, an internal employee management force, right? They have project managers, they have salespeople, and they have a network of subcontractors that bid on projects, right? So they essentially shotgun scopes out to 20 or some subcontractors, and they get their bid on what they want to do it, or if they want the job, and then they get the job. That's it. They build relationships over a long period of time. The system works great for them. Okay. But when you're just starting your business, you don't, number one, have the network or the luxury, and you don't have the sales force or management force. It's just you. And the best thing you could do really is just hire a couple people and work alongside them and build team chemistry and build that team within. So my suggestion, 1000%, is to start your business with employees. And here's the big thing I get. Well, Tanner, how am I going to keep my guys busy? I don't really know what to do. Well, we're going to talk about that a little bit here, but really it comes down to understanding you don't really need a ton of jobs to keep two guys busy. And I think if you just get one job a week, that's more than enough to keep two guys busy. And worst case scenario, you don't pay yourself. That's an investment that you make in your future growth. At the end of the day, every time I hired somebody, I always got a little more hungry, a little more passionate about, selling jobs. And I conveyed that to my customers because I knew that, people and their families were counting on me. So that was pretty easy. All right. So number two, bank account and separating your money. So this is really important as well. This is something I did early on because I worked at a bank, so I understood this. But if I didn't work at a bank, I probably wouldn't have done it so quickly. Really separating your money. So the big thing that you're going to have to understand in business when you make that transition is you're no longer an employee. And if you're coming from being an employee and not really having someone in your family who owns a business and just kind of learning, you have to change the way you think, and I would say, the way that you operate with money. And I would say there's this concept that I've kind of been saying for the last couple of years, is the employee mentality. And the employee mentality is, when I get a paycheck, I spend and then I save what's left. And spending could be on necessities, it could be on luxuries, it could be on entertainment, whatever you did when you were an employee. That's what you were taught to do. You spend, 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 save what's left. Some people spend a little too much, and that's it. And then you go back to your job and you get more, and then you do it again. And then maybe you invest later, and you smarten up a little bit, but that investment is just really to make sure you have money at the end of your life. So it's normally in the form of like a retirement fund. Okay. And that is what we're trained to do. And money can be very emotional for people, like, how they spend it. And it's like a habit. And we all know sometimes habits are hard to break. So another concept that I have is the investor mentality. And that investor mentality is, first thing you need to understand when you start a business is you are an investor. You are an investor in your brand. Like for me, I am an investor in Premium Painting. I'm a 100% shareholder of the well-being of this company. Right. And it sounds so big, but it's not, it's not like I'm talking Apple, but really the concepts are the same. This is a business entity. If this business fails, then my assets in the business fail along with it. Like, follow me here. So even if your business has no customers, has nothing, you still want to treat it like it's, an entity, right? So the investor mentality is understanding that when you bring in money to your business, you've got to allocate that money appropriately. And what I like to think of, the way that an investor works, is that when they generate um, sales or income, they invest the money first. So instead of what the employee does is spend first, the investor mentality invests it first. And that would mean that they invest it back into the business, whether that means better equipment or better marketing. And we'll talk a little bit about this as we move forward in today's podcast. But they invest the money first, right? They take the money and they invest it first. And if you don't learn that concept, you can't grow, because when the investor does that, he's compounding growth. He's not breaking even on growth, right? So if you just did a job and you took the money and you spent it on food and dining and a vacation with your family, there's really not much left over for growth, right? You can sustain, but you can't really grow with that. So the investor mentality is taking that money and allocating it appropriately. So why did I talk about this when I mentioned what number two was, which was separating your money? Well, it makes it really easy for you to understand what's business money and what's personal money. And also when it comes down to accounting, you have to understand that the way that you're taxed is completely different. So as a business, you have to understand that you're taxed as a business. So you pay taxes after you spend. Okay. As an employee, you pay taxes before you spend, right? So when you were an employee, you got a paycheck that had taxes taken out of it before you got it. Okay. As a business, you get the money and then you pay the taxes after you spend it. So you have to allocate your money appropriately, and that's what an accountant is for. Okay, so I'm actually gonna. I had notes on this one today, but I'm gonna slide this in here and say that number three, super important is outsourcing. Okay. We want to outsource things we don't understand. That'll hyper grow your company. Okay. Because really, ultimately, if you're listening to this and you're also an accountant and you're also a payroll specialist, I mean, you're amazing. I'm giving you some claps here, but ultimately we don't know this stuff, right? This isn't something that we're specialists in. So these are really important things. So we have to outsource them to make sure that they're not a hurdle for us and our employees. So when I first started my business, it took me not even a month to hire one of the most expensive accounting firms in town. Simply because I understand how valuable it is to make sure that my numbers are right and how much money I'm going to save by hiring a company that knows what they're doing. Because if I try to do my books, I'm going to miss out on things that I don't know about, right? And the cost of hiring someone, number one, is a deduction. Okay. And number two, again, is going to be minimal in comparison to what I'm going to save because of their expertise. And I think that's again of investor mentality, right? And that's something that I really want to hammer here is that you really got to have that. And by separating your bank account, you're making it easy for an accountant to see all the business expenses that you've incurred and the investments that you made for your business. Oh, you bought a sprayer? Great. We're going to allocate that in the, I think it's in the materials or equipment bucket, and that's going to come off your bottom line. So in other words, what that means is if you sold $1,000 for the year and you bought a new paint sprayer for $500, you're not going to pay taxes on that $1,000. You're going to pay taxes on $500. And the reason of that is because you've allocated it appropriately. Your accountant did that for you, and you have a business bank account that shows the accountant, hey, you spent that out of your business. Now, if you're doing this out of your personal bank account, if you're like, you know what, I'm just going to buy the sprayer out of my personal checking, and you don't have a way to show that to your accountant or you don't make the deduction, then you're going to just pay taxes on the entire 1,000, and that's kind of what I wanted to get at with that is that separate the money and then outsource the help. That's another investment, right? Same thing goes with payroll. It didn't take me long to get a payroll company to help me pay my payroll. I would hate every week to have to sit and figure out taxes and payroll. I can't imagine what it was like back in the day where people actually had to do that and actually have like one of those calculators on their desk. Mine's as easy as just putting in how many hours my guys work, and then boom, they get direct deposit. It's actually a dream. It makes running a business so easy. So there's a link somewhere for Gusto, and Gusto does it for me. So below this podcast, I think there's a link I put. So that's number 3 is making sure that you're outsourcing things you don't understand or you're not an expert in. And I think that's gonna help you grow a lot quicker and take the pressure off. And another point that I like to make about that is that like accounting, like they just changed the tax laws like a couple years ago. And can you imagine if you were doing your own taxes, how stressful that would be for you to figure out that stuff? Like, this is what these people do. Let them be experts in their area and you be experts in yours. So outsource things you don't understand. That's number 3. Number 4, okay, I can't emphasize this enough. Your online presence. You got to have a Google listing. You got to have a website. You got to have an Instagram. You got to have a Facebook. You got to have your name online. A lot of these things are free. So for you to actually have some online presence, 100%, and you could get creative with getting your name out there, because the big question is, Tanner, how do I get my name out there? How do I get people to, to be interested in my services? You got to be where they're looking. Essentially, if if I'm on the highway, right, and I'm hungry, it would be wise for a restaurant to put a billboard out there that says, "Are you hungry?" with a big M on it for McDonald's, which I'm not a fan of, but you guys get it. Okay. It's the same thing. Ultimately, when people need a paint job or they want a flooring job or they want a roofing job, are you where they are when they're hungry? And that's the thing, is that nowadays when people are hungry, they go online, and we need to be there. So getting your online presence, again, when we talk about investing and outsourcing, hire someone to do this stuff for you. Hire someone to make you a website, hire someone to make you a logo, hire somebody to do all this stuff so you can get to selling. I mean, these investments are so small. I mean, in comparison to, I mean, honestly, like everything I mentioned, hiring an accountant, setting up a payroll company, getting someone to make you a website, um, getting somebody set up like your Google page, like, I mean, all of these things can be purchased with one job that you sell. I mean, that's, and it's interesting that a lot of people won't make that investment, but it's just, I mean, understanding growth and having the investment mentality, that's easy money to spend. And again, when we go back to that investment mentality, parting ways with money is something that I see a lot of new business owners really fail to do. Part ways with it. It's going to help you grow. You have to understand, if you don't have a website and you buy a website and someone goes to that website and that would otherwise not go to that website if you didn't have one, and buys your service, that website paid for itself. And every time someone does that for the rest of the website's eternity, it's just giving you an ROI, right? Like that's how I see things. Like, okay, well, how first of all, how quickly I'm going to earn it back, and how much is it going to make me after I earn it back? Great investment, right? So that's something to think about. Okay. Next, getting your first customers. All right. So I get this a lot. Where's the first customer come from? You got to first exhaust your organic network, people that trust you and like you. Okay. And I think that that's so underestimated right now is, finding individuals that know you, like you, and trust you, family and friends. Most things in the home service industry, you can shotgun out to local family and friends and say, hey, I'm starting a new business. Does anybody need help with anything? And usually, if you have some good friends, they'll say, maybe not, but they will refer you, or they'll try to get your name out. Believe it or not, a lot of people are supportive of someone starting their business. I think Facebook groups are great. I think going to your local paint store, your local supply store, and just letting them know the situation, networking with other pros. I think if you're just starting out, I think you should get into BNI. I think it's phenomenal to network. It's all about networking. It's all about getting your name out there. So getting your first customer, don't overthink it. I think you should just understand that it's a matter of either creating the need by explaining, hey, I do this service. Would you like this service? Or paying to be in front of someone who has the need, that's buying ads, buying leads, whatever you have to do if the budget's there. For me, first day of business, I signed up for Home Advisor. I didn't waste any time. I had the capital to do it. And, from day one, I was getting leads. So that was pretty cool. All right. So what do you do with your first dollar? And I think we discussed that. That's number 6. I'm sorry, I'm not counting here, but just trying to, as I'm talking, I'm like, man, I want to tell them this and this. Uh, what to do with your first dollar? Your first dollar, if you have $1, you should look at it like, okay, let me first invest to get another dollar, right? That's the mentality. So how did you acquire the first dollar? Did you knock on a door and exchange information and then it turned into a job? Okay, well, let's say you made $1. Well, how did you get another dollar? Well, you have to get your name out there again, but the goal is to do it with less effort than you did the first time, because if you're producing the work, you're probably pretty tired. So do you want to knock on 100 doors again to get that dollar? And I'm just using I'd say pretty basic example here, but where I'm getting at is like the idea should be, how can I maximize my dollar and minimize my effort? So you can focus your effort on things that are more productive. Like for me to go knock on every person in my neighborhoods, if I knocked on all their doors right now, I guarantee you I could get a job. 1000%. Okay. But do you know how much effort that would be and how much that would take away from my day to day operations when I could just use my dollar and get a job using a paid channel or a paid avenue? And that's the mentality that you have to have. It's almost the same mentality of, could I go out once a week and cut my grass? I pay someone $100 a month to do it 4 times a week. Okay. And I have to think, How long would it take me to do it? First of all, I'd have to go out there and I'd have to mow, right? And then I'd have to trim, and then I'd have to edge by myself, okay? And then I'd have to leaf blow, right? I mean, if I were to do this yard by myself with the tools that I have, push mower, I don't even know where my weed eater is, okay? I don't even know where these things are. All right. If I had to figure that out, I'm in the game for 3 hours, 100% to get it to the standard. These guys do it. I mean, these guys come in like I don't know, like a cavalry, man. There's four of them and they just cook through freaking 6 yards within, the radius of my house. And they get it done 30 minutes tops. One guy's on the mower. We'll get into this later about the system. You guys know I love the system. It's phenomenal. Anyway, for $20 a week, what could I be producing in that hour that's more valuable than the $20 that I'm saving to pay these guys to do my lawn, right? Great investment. So in other words, if it takes me 8 hours knocking on doors, okay, to get one job worth $3,000, right? What else could I be doing in that 8 hours that's more valuable than that money that I'm saving by not buying ads or leads to generate me that $3,000 that could be generating me even more and building even greater reputation. And I just want you to see things from my perspective, because what it really comes down to is how willing you are to understand how to part ways with your dollar, right? So a lot of people make a dollar and most just immediately save it and they kind of just sit and pray for the next one to come. And that's great and all, but usually that only works out for people that are working by themselves. When it comes to someone that's wanting to grow, I think you should heavily invest back into labor, right? Because the same concept exists. If you're working alone and you think to yourself, well, I don't want to pay anyone because really, if I pay someone, then I'm going to lose some of my dollar. So I'll just do it myself and keep most of my dollar, right? Well, yeah, I guess you could say that you're maximizing your dollar in that small space, but because I pay people in the same amount of time that it takes you to make $1, I'm making $2 and I'm not even working and I can focus on other endeavors, right? Investor mentality. So with your dollar, you should think, okay, honestly, 40% of my dollar should go to paying people. So, I'm going to get rid of the dollar. Let's say it's $1,000. Let's say $400 goes to labor. Let's say that pays for two people. Okay. That leaves you with $600 left. Okay. Chances are you spend about 20% on materials. So that's $200 going to materials. So that leaves you with $400. Okay. If you have a good marketing outreach, you should probably spend about 5% of your sales on marketing. But let's just say you go heavy and you spend $100 out of your 1,000 on marketing. So that leaves you with $300. Okay. At this point, you're at a 30% margin, right? I think it'd be wise to spend an extra $100 on branding or something that, yard signs, t-shirts, things that really just create more of a brand, your website, like allocate some money to that stuff to kind of just continue to perpetuate your organic reach. And then again, that first 100 was more for paid reach. So you spent 100 on your paid reach, 100 on your organic reach. Your organic reach is going to grow over time. And I had someone tell me a really good analogy the other day. He said that organic reach is like growing a garden, right? And nurturing a garden. It takes a while, but eventually you're going to be able to grab your own fruit. Paid reach is like going to the grocery store. You can pretty much just pay a little more and get what you need. So I think it's beneficial to spend a little bit in both areas, and that'll leave you with $200 to do if you want. But again, having the mindset to say, okay, I'm going to invest all that first, and I hope this kind of wraps everything together for you. I'm going to invest all that first, and then I'm going to take what's left. Okay, because what you did there is you made sure that your team was good. You made sure that your marketing was good. You made sure that your materials were good. Okay. And then you saved what was left for yourself. And there you go. So you might think, man, like, oh, I'm only getting $200 out of my 1,000. Well, guess what? Now you've secured yourself another job because you spent money on marketing. You secured yourself future business because you spent money on branding. You secured having help to do jobs so you can remove yourself from the physical labor, and you secured making sure that you can purchase more materials, because you paid off the ones that you bought or however you did it, initially. So what you're doing is you're constantly creating this compound of what I like to call a recycler. And I think I did a podcast episode on this, but essentially you're recycling the money through and you're saving some along the way. And soon as you grow, you're going to kind of like double the process, and maybe even do this with 2 crews, 3 crews, 4 crews. And that's how you exponentially grow. So that's what I got for you. I hope you kind of took away some of these fundamental principles of starting your business. And I really think that if you take them and you truly think about them and learn them, it'll be great for you to get started on a more of a hyper growth type mindset. So hope you got something out of this, guys. Always a pleasure serving you. And the last thing I want to say is that I definitely recommend you have a CRM to keep track of all your customers. And I'm going to recommend my favorite CRM, Drip Jobs. You guys rock. Catch you later.
Drip Jobs CRM is finally here. That's right. So Drip Jobs is an automation platform for contractors, home service professionals that's going to automatically follow up with your customers. It's going to allow you to send invoices, estimates. It's going to allow you to send out blast marketing emails to individuals based on where they are in the buying process. This software is next level. And I'm reaching out to you. You're a listener of this podcast, and I want you to be one of the first ones to give it a shot. So if you want to see what Drip Jobs can do for your business, I'd love for you to head over to dripjobs.com, sign up for a free demo, and get your team involved, and let us sit with you and show you how powerful this software is. It's going to save you time, it's going to make you money, and you're going to love the features that are built into Drip Jobs. So if you want to check it out, head over to dripjobs.com, and we will give you first priority being a podcast listener to be one of the very first to try out Drip Jobs in your home service business. I'm super excited to share that with you, and I'll catch you on the next episode.